Milton, and I'm the youth pastor in Salmon Arm, and it is awesome to be here. You know, I love singing this. I work with Kim and Johnny week in, week out for the school year. We're looking forward to our youth ministry kicking off on September 12th. It's going to be the best year ever, I believe. And a few months ago, Pastor Bob, he said, hey, Kolby, could you speak for me in August? And I was like, yeah, sure, sounds great. And then about a few weeks later, right, he says, hey, just speak on whatever you want. And I was like, okay, sounds good. And I was like, well, no, I know they're looking at the book of James. So Bob, I'll speak on whatever passage it is. He says, okay, that's all he said. And that night, I'll never forget, like I know Bob really well, and I was like, what did I agree to? Like, what's the passage? So I was like, I looked back over my notes, and I'm like, hey, James 5, what is this? And the first thing came up was about money. I was like, okay, thanks, Bob. So I'm here speaking, it's going to be awesome. But here's kind of the question I want to think about today is when you look at our world, all right, when you look at everyone around us, like, how do you know who's rich? Have you ever thought about that? Like this past week, someone I know, they said, hey, if I won the lottery, then I'd be truly rich. And I was like, well, how much of a lottery, right, would it take to be like really wealthy? And she's like, oh, actually about $10 million. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of money. Right? But I wonder, like, look around, like, how do you know who's rich and who isn't rich? Is it by the car they drive? Is it their appearance? Like, how do you know who's really wealthy, right? And about 13 years ago, my wife and I have been married for 13 years. We have 3 amazing little kids, a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, a boy and 2 girls. And they're awesome, bring us full of life, and keep us young. I think that's a big thing. So, but 13 years ago, right, we honeymooned in a little place called Kelowna, right, because we had no money. We had no money. And so one of my wife's friends, her cousin actually, said, hey, I feel really bad for you guys because you had no honeymoon. I'm going to fly you down to LA because we live in a little house on Malibu, right? Like, that sounds awesome. So my wife's explaining her relatives, right? And she goes, yeah, they have a car in their garage, supposedly, that's worth $280,000, and it's a Porsche. And like any guy would do, I was like, a Porsche that's worth $280,000? Impossible, right? And so I'm Googling it, I'm like, hey, what kind of car could this possibly be? And we pulled up into this Malibu Beach house with her cousin there, and they opened up the garage. And there's a Ferrari 360 Spider in there. And I was like, am I in a TV show? Like, I should not be here. We have no money. Literally no money. We were like poor. And he goes, yeah, it's my Ferrari. You know, it's awesome. And she goes, yeah, I want one in gray. And I was like, what? Like, you want one in gray? Like, you can't have one, you need 2? Like, that's how rich they were. And that's the moment I was like, these are rich people. But I look around and I wonder, like, how wealthy are we? Right? Like, we're pretty wealthy. We're pretty rich. And I look around our world and I think sometimes it's easy for us to say, hey, someone else is rich. Someone else has more money than me. Someone else is really wealthy. But when I look at my own life, I'm like, man, I'm not really that wealthy compared to so-and-so. Right? Because they have a bigger house, they have a better car, they have whatever it is. We're looking at a passage today, right? James chapter 5, verse 1 to 6. And it's talking about this idea of money. And they say that Google, right? Google searches the top 2 things that are mainly searched year in, year out. All right? The top 2 are fame and money. That's what people search for. Like a few weeks ago, when Donald Trump and the dictator in North Korea were kind of fighting over these war words, the top 3 were fame, money, and how to survive a nuclear attack. Seriously, that's what they were in Google. You can find that stuff all online. But we're obsessed in our culture with money. And James speaks to a church in Jerusalem that's also quite wealthy and quite obsessed with money. All right, they're an affluent city. And we're looking at right here in James chapter 5, verse 1. Here's what it says. Look here, you rich people. Weep and groan with anguish because of all the terrible troubles ahead of you. Your wealth is rotting away, and your fine clothes are moth-eaten rags. Your gold and silver are corroded. The very wealth you were counting on will eat away your flesh like fire. This corroded treasure you have hoarded will testify against you on the day of judgment. For listen, hear the cries of the field workers whom you've cheated of their pay. The cries of those who harvest from your fields have reached the ears of the Lord of heaven's army. You've spent your years on earth in luxury, satisfying your every desire. You have fattened yourselves for the day of slaughter. You have condemned and killed innocent people who do not resist you. All right, this is a really troubling passage. Like, I read this and I was like, wow, this is really troubling, I think, for me in our culture. If you have any problems with this passage, just email Bob at a place to belong. All right, that'd be awesome. But it's a troubling passage, and there's a very specific issue that comes out of this, and a very general issue. But the main issue that comes out of this general issue is, who is he speaking to? Who is James speaking to in this church in Jerusalem? What is he actually saying here? Like, first of all, we look at this passage and go, he could not be speaking to actual Christians in that church. Right? That's what they say, because the language that James uses is this terrible language which says, weep and groan with anguish because of all the terrible troubles ahead of you. Right? This language of like weeping, groaning, and anguish is this language that's used in the New Testament, in the Bible, for people who actually don't make it into heaven. Right? And James here is saying is you gotta look at how you're living your life. Like, how are you actually living your life? And that's the reason why people say, well, they're rich people that James is speaking to. And that's the reason why it couldn't be Christians in this church. That's kind of the problem, right? Like, they say, well, they're landowners, they're paying wages. Like, there's no way that James here is writing to Christians. Because how could he write to Christians who are in the kingdom of God, who are in with Christ, and use this language that really kind of doesn't allow you to be part of this kingdom? Right? And that's kind of a problem for us. Right? If there's a court case and you get up against this evidence, James here is right, there's all this evidence of the reason why you shouldn't be in the kingdom, and it's all this money that's behind you, it's piled up. All this wealth, all this stuff, all these possessions. The way you're living your life isn't a kingdom life. You see, Paul here, who writes to Christians later on, this is James, but Paul writes in Philippians, verse 1 to 6, he says here, I know the good work that began in you. When you became a Christian and God put his Holy Spirit in you, I know God will never fail to finish what he started. I know if he started a good work in you, you cannot lose your place in the family of God. You can't follow a position. You see, Paul here wrote to all these Christians. He wrote this general principle that God will see to it, to completion, of you and your life in Christ. But James is saying, actually, there's something else that's happening here, that actually if you desire all these things over Jesus, he's kind of trying to make you like discontent with where you are at, right? He's saying that you should never be comforted, right? He says here, now listen, actually read through the book of James, this letter of James. You see here, it says all the time, now listen, you who blank, right? You who are this, you who are that. He gets here, he says, listen, you who are rich, you who are wealthy. This is a warning. Like, James here is a pastor, he's trying to warn these people, don't be content with the way you live your life. Like, don't be content with just the stuff that you have. Don't be content with the way you wear, like the clothes you wear. Don't be content with your house and your car, because it's so easy, isn't it? Like, it's really easy to be content where we live. We live in the Shuswap, and it is the best place ever. Like, you guys, I think, live in the best city in the Shuswap in the summer. It's awesome, right? Like, I love walking down your main street. It is incredible here. It's a summer town. You guys have an actual beach. In Salmon Arm, we do not have a beach, right? And I think it's so easy to be so comfortable where we live. But James here is saying you can't be comfortable, right? The implication that he says to Christians that I wonder where you will go one day if you're actually that comfortable. What's going to happen to you? You see, he's saying that these Christians that he's speaking to, there's a danger of fruitlessness. That's what he's doing. He's taking away their comfort because they're not being fruitful anymore. And the fruits of the Spirit, what James is kind of alluding to is this. In Galatians 5, verse 22 and 23. But the Holy Spirit produces this kind of fruit in our lives. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. So one more time. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. You see, the saying here is that is the fruit. But I look at your lives, and there's none of that. There's so little fruit that you actually aren't paying the workers that are under you. You're not paying your bills. Right? I'm reading a book I got this book, it's called Everybody Lies. Right? And it's a book about Google searches. And this guy's doing all this research on it. And he says here that the people who are the least likely to pay their debts, okay, are people who are Christians. Like, isn't that alarming to you? Like, I read that and I was like, how is that possible? That when they do credit card applications, they say if you don't have a degree, okay, that's one reason why you won't pay your debt. Another one is if you believe in God, you are the least likely person to ever pay those debts back. Like that bugs me. I read that and I was like, that could not be true. Right? And he's like, that's what Google says. Right? So there's some facts there. There's actually some data. But here's the thing, right? When I look at the fruit that Paul's talking to in Galatians, there's a lack of it in this church that James is speaking to. You see, here's the gospel that Tim Keller, I love you, how he sums it up here. It says we're more sinful and flawed in ourselves than we could ever dare believe. And at the very same time, we're more loved and accepted in Jesus Christ than we ever dare hope. You see, if we get the gospel, we realize that this isn't about us. That we're broken, that we're sinful, we're messed up people, and we need Jesus. You see, James here is doing this amazing thing. He says here, if you lead consistently fruitless lives that are full of all these extra things, not these things that Paul's talking about, these extra things about hoarding your wealth and greed and selfishness, he's going to take away your comfort. He's not saying you're not a Christian. He's saying that you should be wondering how you stand as a Christian before your Creator. You see, James, the pastor, he has this great point saying, you have no right to comfort yourself today. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to take away all the comfort. You see, he says, by God's grace, you comfort yourself, but it has to be gone. Right? Like, how do you know you can stand on the day of judgment if you live like this in James chapter 5? You see, it's that bad. But he actually has this statement in here, which I think we should really understand here. It says, we should weep and wail and submit ourselves to God. And he's calling us to repentance, right? He's not calling us to just be hopeless. Like, I don't know, I have all this stuff, all this wealth, which we do in North America, right? And he goes, well, there's hopeless. He's calling us to actually weep and wail for where we're at. To be actually totally discontent with the way we live. Have you ever been so discontent with something? Have you ever had a situation where you've been so unsettled? Where you're I can't actually live anymore the same way? A couple of years ago, we took students down to Los Angeles on a missions trip. And we're serving this one soup kitchen, right? And they serve soup every day for breakfast. Can you imagine that? I don't like soup on the best of days, but very good for breakfast. And so we're serving these homeless people breakfast every day and tell their stories. And this guy sat down at my table. His name's Thurman, right? He sat down and he had a busted up arm. And I go over and I say, hey, what's going on? What's wrong? Can I help? And he goes, yeah, I broke my arm and I have no health care benefits down here. Right? It's just not something I'm used to. And I'm like, okay. He goes, I couldn't work and I couldn't work for a year because of my broken arm. And then because of that, I had to live on the streets. I lived in subsidized housing because I lost everything, and I lived on the streets, and before you know it, I'm living here. And I was like, what? And he's like, I'm hoping to go in for surgery in 2 days. And when you're on Skid Row, you hear a lot of stories, right? I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Sure. And so he goes, we don't see him for a couple of days, this guy Thurman. And on our last day there, we get out of the car, and I look over, and there's this guy, the cast, Thurman. He goes, hey, Nathan, Kolby, hey. We go over, we hug him. We're so glad you got surgery. And he's like, I can't wait to drive a truck. He wants to be a trucker across the United States. He wants to see his daughter graduate. And I remember that night going home to our little apartment we're staying at World Impact. And trying to explain to my wife what I experienced that day because it was so unsettling. That I couldn't do anything for this guy. Right? I will write a check. Fix it. My wife's so I'm explaining the situation. She's like, what should we do for him? I'm like, we can't really do anything for him. Like, there are already people doing stuff for him. Right? We can support him, we can encourage him, we can pray for him. But I never forget going come back from that LA trip and walking into my house and being like, this is crazy. Like, I went around my house, I counted how many beds I had in my house. It just, those are thoughts I've never had before. I was so unsettled, I was so discontent with all the stuff I had. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, we live so extravagant. Why do I have 5 beds in my house? Right? For all of us, but still, it's too many. Right? Like, compared to what people have in the streets. But here, what James is saying in this church is that it should be so unhinging for us to hear him talk like this to these Christians in Jerusalem. Like, it should change everything about us. That we should be able to go back to our house and just be like, yeah, I want more and more and more and more and more stuff. You see, that's a general thing. Who is he talking to? He's talking to us. People just like us. In a church just like us. That's the first issue. That he's talking so severely to Christians that it should be unsettling for us. That if there's no growth, there's no fruit in your lives, you should wonder, is your life actually being like Christ? And that's for me. I wonder sometimes, like, am I actually following Jesus? You see, there's a specific thing that comes up also, and it's this idea of materialism. Right? There's a sin here he's talking about, materialism, love of money, greed, and he gives kind of these ideas of how we should live, knowing about greed and money and materialism. But I think one thing that we wonder about is, where's the line? Right? Where's the line in our wealth? Right? Like as long as I don't have how much. Right? Like, the Bible's never specific on that. I wish they were. Like, you could make up to this amount. Right? It doesn't. Because it's not the issue about how much money we make, it's actually the issue about how we live our lives with what we make. You see, we can always throw our hands up and say, well, you know, I have a 3-car garage, therefore I need 3 cars. Right? Like, we could say, I need more stuff to fill my house. Right? Someone said when I moved into my house, they said, hey, you're to fill up really fast. And I was like, you're crazy. Like, how could you fill a house up with just random stuff and before you know it, boom, it's full of stuff? It just happens. You accumulate all this random extra stuff. It just does. You see, James here is saying you have to find a way to draw a line. Right? You have to look at your life and say, is this really a necessity or is it luxury? Right? Do I really have to spend my money on this, or could I actually end up spending this or giving this away to someone else? There's a famous story about a guy named John Wesley. All right? And John Wesley, they've probably never heard of him. They're around the church world. And he founded the Methodist Church. He started as a very simple preacher, didn't make tons of money, but after a while, he founded one of the great church movements in history. And by the end of his life, he was making a ton of money from different publications, right? And so it's a pretty well-known fact, and that he was making a certain amount of money. And so when he first started, he was making 30 pounds, and he gave away 3 of that. But the next year, he made 40 pounds, which was his income, and he gave away 10. The next year he made 70, and he gave away 40. At one point, he made 1,400 pounds a year, and he gave it all away and stayed living on 30 pounds. You see, I think there's an element of money and wealth that we always think about, like, one day when I make this much money, I'll give this much money away. And that's just never going to happen. Never. Right? There's an author who wrote this book called Purpose-Driven Life, and he wrote this book. It became a bestseller for years and years and years and years and years. He made all this money, and he started living off of 1%. Isn't that crazy? He gave 99% away. He's sitting in a room talking to all these pastors, and he's like, the only reason why I really believe that God, when he wrote that book, was because he knew I'd do with money. That I was faithful before I even made that kind of money. You see, Christians have to ask this question. Is the standard of my living going up as fast as my income? Because it can't. You see, no Christian needs to live as well as they're capable of. No one. No one. But there's a tendency, I think, for us, and for me, when your income increases, to like slowly increase your living, right? Like, if I just get this thing extra, Right? With my car payment, if I just buy a new car, I can live, well, there we go, just close up to what I'm actually making as an income. We do that all the time. I do that all the time. There's a guy named Francis Chan, he's a writer. He said the worst moment in his whole life, okay, was he wrote this book called Crazy Love. Great moment. The worst moment was that 3 months after that book, a $500,000 check came in the mail. And 3 months later, another check came in the mail. Another 3 months, another check. And people in church were like, you deserve a bigger house. You deserve a better car. You deserve all this stuff. And he says, you know what I realized? I think I believe that. And then I read the Gospels and I wonder, what the heck am I doing? He quit his church and he gave all his money away. But you see, as Christians, we should never live as well as we're capable of. Ever. You see, James here is saying, if you hoard your wealth, you're just forgetting the fact that Jesus Christ could come at any time, and this curve could come down. And your life isn't going to be based on how much money you make or how much things you have. It's not going to be based on any of that. But sometimes we put all our hope in those things. You see, there's the last verse here in this passage, and we have these Bibles, these NLT Bibles, and it says here, you have condemned and killed innocent people who do not resist you. And I think that's what James is not implying here. So if you actually look at a different translation, a little more literal one, what it says here, it says, you have condemned and murdered the righteous one. Is that interesting? The righteous one. Not you've condemned and killed many people, you've condemned and killed the righteous one, not ones, but one. And then it makes you realize, who's he talking about? The righteous one is what it says, who does not oppose you. That's who you've killed. You see, he's showing that's Jesus. That this church has forgotten about Jesus. They're so concerned about the one who was betrayed for 30 pieces of silver. He didn't resist actually going to his death. He died for you and I. He died, and we've forgotten that. You see, this whole passage is this idea of don't forget. Remember, the greatest sin is just forgetting what Jesus has done for us. Just going about life, thinking about spending our money, thinking about budgets, thinking about whatever it is day to day without remembering Jesus. You see, the one who's worth more than all the gold, all the silver, all the money, who died, does not oppose his death because it gave us life. You see, James is showing his church what they have forgotten. This passage essentially reiterates what Jesus said in the Gospel of Matthew. In chapter 6, verse 19, it says here, Jesus says to his disciples, do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasure in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. You see, this passage bugs me about Jesus. Right? Like, where your treasure is, the thing that you value most in life, that's where your heart is. Right? I have this exercise, sometimes I'll do with my kids, and I'm like, hey, what do you think I value the most? Right? Like, they're with me every day. They see the things that I love and desire. And it's awful sometimes when they say it. Right? Like, Dad, all you want is this thing. That's all you think about. It's like, okay. Great. Like, you know, that's where my treasure is. That's where my heart is. I wonder, where is your heart this morning? Like, where's your heart? You probably came in here, you're probably wondering about other things. That's my life. But see, Jesus here is saying, don't lay up for yourselves treasures on earth that moth, rust will destroy, where thieves break and steal. It shows here that there's an excessiveness of our lives, right? Like, James is saying the same thing. There's an excessiveness of our lives, of all this like hoarding and wealth that we have in our lives, that we just have more and more and more and more and more and more stuff, right? Like, do you ever feel like that? You see more things? Like, for me, when I'm on Amazon and my cart is full, I just feel like I need more stuff, right? And when it comes in, I feel like, oh, this is not good enough. Because Jesus is the one who can satisfy me more than all that stuff. You see, James here is saying that they have forgotten about Jesus. They have forgotten about him. You see, I think in conclusion, we live in a world where we need to be careful that we're not too comfortable, that we actually need to be discontent. That's how we can fight materialism, is to not be content in our stuff, in our things, in the way we live our lives or the way our bank account is. We should not be okay with that. This guy named John Piper shared this famous story, you probably may have heard it, about these two people in this church in Minnesota. And they went on this missions trip to Cameroon, right? And they're in their 80s, these two single ladies. And one was a nurse, and they're in this medical mission. And one thing happened, that brakes gave out in their car, and they went over a cliff. And they both died, tragically, right? And John Piper said to his church, he says, do you think that's a tragedy? These two people who gave their whole lives to Jesus died in a car crash. Is that a tragedy? Right? He says here, he holds up this Reader's Digest, right? And he says, read a story of this, because this is a tragedy. And he opens up this Reader's Digest, and he goes to this one page, and it says here, Bob and Penny took early retirement from their jobs in the Northeast 5 years ago. When he was 59, she was 51, and now they live in Florida, where they cruise on their 30-foot trawler, play softball, and collect seashells. He said, that's the tragedy. Do you get that? Like, that is where we've been so comfortable in our lives, sometimes we want that second part more than the first. Right? We need to not be comfortable in our lives. And we have to look at our lives and go, this is not okay. That I actually want to be more generous to this church. I want to be more generous to Sick Moose. I want to be more generous to people in our community because I want to show them Jesus. That's a tragedy. But I think the thing is, we need to remember Jesus. The thing that will only bring us joy in life is Christ. And I think time and time again, it's true for my life, that the only person who's really going to bring me joy is Jesus. But I think I look around our world and I wonder how easy it is. I really believe that an order from Amazon, when it comes in, will bring me joy, fulfill me like Jesus would. And he won't. That won't. Only Jesus will. I think sometimes I drive over my church in Salmon Arm, and Pastor Ben's an amazing preacher, and I forget everything on the drive home. Like, do you ever have that happen to you? Like, I forget because I need to go and buy groceries for my family, I need to go and pick up lunch for my kids, I need to do this, that, and other thing, right? How am I going to pay for a holiday next year? Before you know it, I've forgotten everything that Ben talked about in Salmon Arm. Right? We forget all the time. I forget all the time, but I need people to help me remember Jesus in my life. I need people to come alongside me and go, hey, Kolby, like, maybe you want a better car, but do you really need a better car? I don't like when you say that. I don't like when people confront me like that. I bet you don't either. You see, we need to be remember constantly, Jesus is the only thing that will fulfill us. That we need to be content in Him and Him alone. So the band comes up and leads us again. I want us to reflect on this idea of how can we be discontent in our lives? How can we actually find Jesus the only source of joy in the midst of all this extra stuff? All these things that will corrode, break away, the things that we'll never be able to bring with us into heaven. Right? That we need Jesus more than anything else. Let's pray. God, I thank you for these words, even though they're brutal for me. Think about how I easily just become so comfortable in this world that it's so easy to want more and more and more and more things. But I know it's so true that you're the only thing that will ever bring me joy and comfort. Knowing what you did on the cross for me, that because of that I can truly live. I pray that you would help me become more and more like you. That I'd be more and more generous with my money, that I'd want to give things away, Lord. I wouldn't be just satisfied the way I live my life today. I'd actually want to live radically different. Lord, I pray you convict us of our sin and brokenness, that we need you constantly, that I need you constantly. I pray you bring people in our lives to help us walk this out day in, day out. That we need to be reminded constantly of what you've done for us. Because we are just simple people. I'm a simple person, and I forget all the time. And so I just pray, Lord, that the power of the Holy Spirit would help me memorize things from your word, Lord, that you would press into my life and my heart. Amen.